Now, the IRS estimates that nearly $1.5 billion in refunds remains unclaimed because people have yet to file their tax returns. The median refund is $893 for the year, according to the agency. Taxpayers have until July 17th to file their 2019 tax return. This reflects the 3-year limitation date as the crisis pushed back the 2019 filing date by 3 months. Under the law, lawmakers and taxpayers generally have years to file and claim their tax refunds. That's if you don't even file a return within 3 years. The money becomes the property of the U.S. Treasury Department. And now, if you reside in the state of New Mexico, keep an eye out on your bank account. The New Mexico governor says that the latest round of rebates will go out mid-June. Thanks to a bill passed by lawmakers during the legislative session, New Mexico people have previously filed taxes and will get another round of rebates. Single tax filers will get $500. Married couples will get more. And taxpayers who use direct deposit when filing their tax returns will get the latest round of rebate checks automatically via direct deposit. If you moved here since 2021, you should update your address online via the Taxation and Revenue Department's Taxpayer Access Point. Now, for everybody in the United States of America, well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the consumer prices climbed 5% in March, down from 6%. The latest inflation reading represents the 9th straight month of easing price growth on an annual basis, and it's down from 9% high last June. But it's still well above the Federal Reserve's 2% target, among the key categories still seeing outsized paced growth, and now it's climbing 8.5% from March 2022 to March 2023, which hit 8.3% growth. As a result, cooling inflation won't really have proved much about solace to consumers in its demand that the Fed is aiming to address by the raising interest rates. Food and rent are among the categories that continue to have the largest price increase. Food prices already climbed 10%. In the same month, rents had their largest one-month increase on record, climbing 8.2%, and rent data is even considering a lagging indicator, meaning surveys are slower to capture real-time changes because most leases are at a 12-month long. We have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and STI. I'm ready to see what President Biden could do for you folks, and let's see what he could do for the American people. Hopefully he can do what he promised us and send out the fourth stimulus check. Now, first of all, the weather is heating up and so are gas prices. AAA has reported that the national average for a gallon of gas rose 8 cents last week, and now it's up to $3.66 a gallon. Now, oil prices initially got a boost early in April, and now surprisingly announced that it would cut production starting in May by about $1 million per day. This is news from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. This past Thursday, oil rose further after the International Energy Agency predicted global oil demand will climb by 2 million barrels a day.
What are we doing? What is the world community doing to make sure that every person on earth, no matter how poor, all right, let me go to a subject which I think as a nation we don't discuss enough, and that is long stand the problem and perhaps deal with it over a period of time.
Schumer has just announced that he is going to bring a $35 cap on parents' insulin costs back up for a vote, after Republicans blocked it over this past weekend.
But we shouldn't be shipping them to just anyone overseas either. In fact, companies need license from the federal government. These are called export licenses, by putting the Commerce Department in charge instead of the State Department, where those permissions had always resided.
During an interview on MSNBC, Schumer said they blocked the $35 price for insulin for non-Medicare people. We're going to come back and make them vote on that again. Schumer, however, did not specify whether he would bring the $35 cap up by itself or as part of a larger bipartisan bill with Susan Collins. Now, Senate Republican Chuck Grassley reported that he would support a $35 cap if it came up again. Now, he wrote on a Twitter post, voting the cap was not about insulin, it was about Democrats ignoring budget rules. The Senate has already voted 50-50 on the vote, and Kamala Harris already passed it. Bernie Sanders already labeled the new legislation as the so-called Inflation Reduction Act and agreed with analysts in that it would have a minimal impact on reducing inflation. But Joe Manchin denied claims that it would raise taxes. Currently, friends, there are 2 Democratic representatives, and they may be hesitant to vote in favor of the bill. After expressing concern last year, Democrats currently have a 5-seat majority in the House of Representatives, meaning if all 4 Republicans vote against it, it would only take 5 Democrats opposing it to fail. The House of Representatives is slated to take up the Inflation Reduction Act later this week, where Democrats seek to pass it and send it to Joe Biden's desk. Now, here's more stimulus checks and more relief money coming to the low-income, Social Security, and also SDI and SI beneficiaries. Now, older New York homeowners would be in line for expanded tax relief in the state, under legislation that was just approved by the governor. The measure will allow local governments to increase the maximum allowable income eligibility for the property tax exemption to $50,000 for people who are 65 and older. The measure will increase the current limit as set at $29,000 a year for older New Yorkers who live outside of New York City. The new law is part of a legislative package meant to strengthen homeownership and affordability in the state. The governor approved a law that will strengthen benefits with a timeline designed to be more flexible for homeowners who are in need of making emergency repairs. Another measure approved by Hochul will extend the option for municipal governments to provide a property tax exemption for first-time home buyers who are purchasing newly constructed homes through 2028, and also extending provision that was set to expire by the end of this year. Hochul also announced that more than $64 million in federal funding to help struggling New Yorkers with children with their expenses amid the ongoing crisis is going to come fast. The emergency fund will provide one-time payments to help with the cost of diapers for struggling families, cover food expenses for households with both children and older adults, and also provide housing assistance. The state is going to issue one-time payments to families enrolled in SNAP. Families will receive $140 per dependent. And also, President Biden's approval rating rose to its highest in 2 months in a newly released poll. Biden's approval rating rose to 40%. The increase is partially fueled by Democrats' approval and approving of Biden's job performance. The poll showed Biden's approval rating among Democrats rose 9 points from last month to 78%. Now, according to a poll, Biden's approval rating hit its lowest point in May at 36% and has remained below 50% since August 2021.
The from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the following Joint Committee on Taxation analysis that shows that families earning $75,000 to $100,000 are 4 times more likely to have a tax hike under this bill than a tax cut.
Without objection.
Thank you. I'm proud to yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Kustoff.
The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. I thank the ranking member. Madam Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to what the Democrats call the Inflation Reduction Act, which is really the Inflation Expansion Act. Americans are grappling with an economy in recession and the highest inflation that we've seen in 40 years. We're experiencing worker shortages, empty grocery shelves, and higher energy prices. Now congressional Democrats are doubling down on this out-of-control spending that led to this economic crisis. This package that we're voting on today will raise taxes on hard-working middle-class families. It'll authorize 87,000 new IRS agents to target individuals and small businesses.